I'm excited today to talk about something that I think is really lacking in music education. There's a lot of information out there about scales, modes, arpeggios, harmony, theory in general, rhythm, different styles, and sometimes I feel like this stuff is taught abstractly, that it's not really given any sort of practical application. People will say, oh, well, the chord scale that goes with a major 7 chord can be Ionian or Lydian, whatever. But what's the point of music? Why do we get into this? Why do we pick up the bass or the guitar? Why do we sing? Why do we write? It's because we want to express ourselves in some way. And so we all have different content that we're familiar with in terms of music. Some of us know just our triads, or some of us know pentatonics. Some of us know some heavy-duty jazz theory and have transcribed a bunch of Charlie Parker and Jocko. Still others come from a different part of the world, and they have a whole other way of describing music and feeling rhythm. I can only talk about my journey and the things that I've studied and the things that I'm familiar with. So what I've done here for myself is create something that I'm going to call the Expressive Tonal Color Approach to Improvisation. I had to read it. I'm trying to come up with a name for this. And the idea is to think of everything you know, starting with harmonic content, as being different colors that you can paint with. But you have to do it within a structure. I mean, certainly we can improvise freely and use these colors, but usually we're in some kind of structure. Structure can be the style of music, it can be cultural, it can be the region where the music comes from, it could be the arrangement of the band. You know, you have guitar, bass, drums, piano, just a singer and a bass, whatever it might be. But there's some kind of structure, just like a novel or a movie. And then within that structure, there are other underlying structures. For example, you might be playing a blues, a 1-4-5 blues progression, or you might be playing 2-5-1 patterns, or you might be vamping a 1 chord. And then you have to think about what you're going to do in that structure with the content that you know. And some of the content you know might not be appropriate for that style within that structure. So I've listed some of the content that I'm familiar with that I practice most frequently. I've taken the modes of the major scale, the whole tone scale, diminished, melodic minor, harmonic major, and some of the modes associated with melodic minor and harmonic minor, as well as some stuff that I've picked up along the way with pentatonics and some other flavors, and assigned an emotion to each of them. And it goes beyond happy and sad, because that doesn't really tell you. That's not a complex emotion. There's different types of happiness. There's satisfaction, there's elation, fulfillment. There's different types of sadness. There's deep depression, there's disappointment. So there's a spectrum of brightness that you get to sort of choose from. And if your spectrum is really small and it's just like, I use the blues scale, I use the minor pentatonic and the major pentatonic, or just triads, that's great, and you can do a ton with that. But if you want to really expand, as you learn stuff, no matter how much you know, you should start assigning emotional value to that. So for example, I'm going to hit record because this is my new setup and I want to welcome everyone to my new website while I'm doing this. And I'm going to take the most common thing that we're familiar with, which is the major scale in the key of C. I'm going to play it up here. And the arpeggio that goes with that, the major 7th, in this case the C major 7th. And I'm going to say that that sounds peaceful to me. Then I'm going to take the Dorian, the second mode of that scale. I'll play that up here as well. And I'm going to say that that sounds funky. And I'm going to say that because a lot of funk tunes that I play use that scale as a mother scale. Tunes like Brick House or Give It To Me by Rick James, or Rapper's Delight uses that. So What by Miles Davis uses the Dorian mode. So I'm going to call that funky because I think it feels and sounds funky. Then the Phrygian mode in the key of C, that's going to be off E. And that has a chord as well, E minor. But really with that flat 2, I feel like that sounds like you're working. Not working really hard, but you're just working. You're working on something. I'm in the middle of working here. Then Lydian, in this case on F in the key of C, has that raised fourth. Sorry for the faces, I'm being emotional. I feel like that's a little more like elation, because you're not just happy, you're raised up, raised fourth. Then the Mixolydian, of course, we use that a ton in funk and rock and hip hop and everything. In the key of C, it's on G. I think that that's kind of silly sounding, funny sounding. Makes me feel not just happy, but kind of funny and silly. Then Aeolian, or the natural minor or relative minor, off of an A. I think that sounds direct. I don't think that that's, in terms of brightness, depressing, or elated, I don't think it feels like you're working. I feel like it's just someone's making a statement, like they're saying something. Then Locrian, off of B in the key of C, which goes with a minor 7 flat 5 chord. I feel like that's really working. Now you're starting to actually work really hard, and you're almost a little frustrated. That's what I feel. Then whole tone, I'm going to do that off of C, which is usually with an augmented chord or augmented tonality. I think that sounds almost like asking a question, maybe even being confused or asking a confused question. That's what I think. Let's use diminished off of C again, which is just minor thirds. Augmented and whole tone is major thirds. This is minor thirds. I feel like that's just tense. There's a tenseness to that. Melodic minor, again off of C. I feel like that is like a dream, going on a journey within a dream. There's something magical about it. Harmonic minor, again off of C. I feel like that's mystical, like you're conjuring something. Harmonic major, which is a major scale with a flat 6. I'm not too experienced with this one, but I'm starting to use it a little bit. I feel like that's like trying to explain the mystical stuff that happens in the world of harmonic minor. I don't know. Then I also like to use the fifth mode of harmonic minor, which is a Mixolydian flat 2, flat 6, usually associated with a 7, flat 9, flat 13 chord. I'm going to do that on a G here. I think that that just sounds kind of exotic. So those are my colors. Now, the structure I'm going to use today, simply enough, is vamping on a C chord. And when I vamp on the C chord, I'm going to find a place to use each of these emotions. And then over time, what you can do over other changes, and I'll demonstrate this in the next lesson, is figure out how to fit these colors within the structures on each chord. So you can choose how to fit a given color onto a given chord or set of chord changes. Now remember, when you apply this stuff within the context, within the structure, you can play with it. You can delay a resolution so that a given color hangs over, and then the context might change. If you're playing on a C chord, and that C chord's going to a F chord, C to F, which is very common, like Walk on the Wild Side by Lou Reed, or Can't Always Get What You Want by the Stones, or Feeling All Right, which is a tune by Joe Cocker, or Traffic. Pick which version you like. Simple chord 1 to 4. If you're playing in C, you know, and you decide, oh, I'm going to play C major over the C chord, which will work if it's a major 7 chord, if you play major 7, not dominant 7. And then it goes to the F. You might hang on the C tonality while it goes to F, which delays the resolution, but you need to make sure when you create that tension, you resolve to the F on an appropriate tone, like a chord tone. And there's a lot of information out there about how to do that and the practical ways of doing that. I'm not going to get into that today, but again, the idea is to play with the colors, paint with the colors. So I'm going to put a vamp here on my looper pedal of just a C triad, C, E, G, and then I'm going to improvise. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. as I pick emotions, and maybe I'll be telling a story. Maybe not. I don't know. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to start off with just sounding peaceful using C major and a little bit of C Ionian. But it's been a tough day. Not too tough though. So I'm going to play the Phrygian because I'm working. But I'm still at peace. Actually, I'm feeling really good. So I'm going to play Lydian, sharp 4. You know what though? Work is getting pretty hard. I'm just going to talk about it by making a statement over this relative minor. But I'm really happy. Nothing's going to get me down. But you know what? It's tense. So I went with diminished on D flat there. It didn't really work. That's okay. But maybe the tense is affecting the intensity, that's not a word, intenseness, the intensity happening while I'm at peace. So I put it on C there because it affected my peace, which was on the C major, and so I played C diminished. Man, but you know what? I'm at peace, but I'm awfully confused. So I played G whole tone. This is a very rudimentary approach to improvising. I'm not warmed up, and so I just wanted to begin this process. What I would usually do with this is take more complex changes. Maybe I'll just start with a 2-5 in the key of C, D minor 7, G7, C major 7, and experiment with placing these colors on different tones. Like this video if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this, share it, and I'll see you on the next one.